Good evening and welcome to the program, The Desk on Global Television. My name is Anthony Momodi. Welcome to today's edition as we look at issues from different perspectives. We'll be looking at very salient issues of concern to the Nigerian government and the people of Nigeria, as well as other issues of global importance. First of all, our first talking point on the desk this evening has to do with the Nigerian government calling on the International Criminal Court of Justice to stop the probe of its military. That's the kick point where the Nigerian government has urged the International Criminal Court, ICC, to stop their prolonged investigation into the alleged crimes by military personnel against civilians in conflict zones. This is despite well-documented evidence that showed that soldiers as well as terrorists committed what could be described as war crimes, especially in insurgency-ravaged northeastern Nigeria. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, made the plea at the 23rd session of the Assembly of States Parties to the Rome Statute of the ICC held in The Hague, Netherlands. According to the official statement from the Nigerian government, Fagbemi, a senior advocate, also noted that the preliminary examination into the alleged crimes in Nigeria, which has lasted 14 years, was demoralizing to the servicemen laying their lives to defend their country against terrorists. However, reports says the preliminary examination, which was opened on 18 November 2010, was concluded in 2020 when former ICC prosecutor Fatou Bensouda indicted members of the Nigerian security forces of murder, rape, torture, and cruel treatment such as enforced disappearance, forcible transfer of population, and the direct attacks against the civilian population. Remember that in 2022, Bensouda, a successor, Karim Khan, visited Nigeria for further discourse on the matter. So we'll be looking at this clearly and what this would mean to Nigeria, especially knowing that they were also investigated for alleged sexual misconduct, and which reminded the Nigerian authorities of their legal obligations under the Rome Statute to conduct effective, genuine, and meaningful national investigations and prosecution of the alleged conduct identified by the ICC. So that's one of the talking points we'll be looking at. We'll also be still talking security matters. It's good news for security personnel as President Bola Tinubu has approved a salary increment for members of the Nigerian Armed Forces. Bello Matawali, Minister of State for Defense, disclosed this on Friday in a statement by the ministry spokesperson Henshaw Ogu BK. The government also approved the payment of 3 months' salary arrears. Additionally, he has also made to release funds to clear outstanding pensions and entitlement owed retired military personnel. So we'll be looking at all these talking points from that perspective, and not forgetting the Farotimi and Afe Babalawa's issue where Adeyanju is in the news. Activist Deji Adeyanju on Friday said the police must stop acting like errand boys to the influential people and politicians in the country. So we'll be looking at that statement. Is it true the Nigerian police force is acting like errand boys to influential people in the country? These and other talking points is what we'll be looking at on today's edition. When we return from this break, we hit our discuss button, and I will be introducing my guest who is waiting to kickstart our discourse on today's edition. We have one live in the studio, and we'll be having some the reviewed Nigeria 360 president, global president in the person of Model Abidoye, joining us via Zoom to help us look into this discourse. Stay with us. Watching the desk on Global Television, and I've got two guests. One is in the live studio, and I will be having the reviewed Nigeria 360 Global President in the person of Model Jeffrey Olu Abidoye join us via Zoom. But my guest in the studio is Engineer David Akpo Gode, who is the Deputy Governor of the Isoko Development Union Youth Wing, making his debut on the desk this evening. Thank you for joining us in the studios. All right, let's begin our discourse from the first talking point, which has to do with the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, who has said on behalf of the Nigerian government that the Nigerian government wants the International Criminal Court to stop the investigation of Nigerian military as regards the allegations of sexual misconduct and brutality and war crimes against civilians and also even the terrorists. For you, do you see this as a good signal, a good call? This has been going on for 14 years, since 2010, though the investigation was concluded in 2020.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Anthony. I have to ask the government a question. Why is it that they want to stop the investigation? When these military people are so violent in some instance, things that they do to a common man in the streets, like the issue of, if you check the issue of OD, you will see that right from the time that the military men went to OD hasn't remained the same. You check the issue of what happened in Benue, if you check the issue of the NSAS in Nigeria, if you check so many things. Today, if you go to Warri, because I'm from Warri,
okay,
I'm from Delta State, Port Harcourt is booming today is because of the military people. They said the Niger Delta militants came to destroy Warri, but it's not true. When you check it, it's not true. They released the military over Warri. No company that you can find in Warri today, the Escarbos, the Ajib, or the companies in Warri, they moved down from Warri to Port Harcourt. What causes all this is the military. Check the Obama today. What is happening there? Today, they said Obama people killed soldiers. So they went there to destroy the village. They destroyed both the innocent, both the women, both the kings, everybody. They deserted everybody from the community. But till now, we don't know what happened that brought that incident. So why are they saying that? Why the government will say today that they should not investigate the military? That is my question to them.
All right. Looking at the fact that the issue has been concluded and the government were told to prosecute those who were found wanting to have committed those crimes, with the government stance now of calling for the end of that probe, do you think they are likely to prosecute those people that have been confirmed to be guilty of committing those crimes against both civilians and the terrorists?
Yes, in my stand, there should be, and let the investigation still go on. Because when we say, like the issue of Obama today, the headline today said that one of the leaders from Obama is dead in their custody, in the military custody. That leader is dead today, which is, I even learned that is the President General of that community.
Okay.
So such a personality is dead in the hands of the military. You understand? Now, and they are saying that they should not persecute them. A poor man cannot do oil buckering, because you that doesn't have 5,000, you cannot buy a drilling machine that will do that buckering. So if there is an investigation, Nigeria will know that there is something behind the scene. there is some people behind the scene. So why would they stop the investigation? If they stop it, that means it will continue. That is just my stake.
All right, very well thought out plans there. We want to know if we've got Jeffrey Abidoye joining us via Zoom to let's also get his take as regards this conversation. Abidoye, thank you for joining us on the desk.
Yes, go ahead, go ahead. Hello, Anthony. Hello, Anthony.
All right, let's go for a quick break here. Once we get back from the break, we'll be joining Abidoye, who is joining us via Zoom to get his perspective to the different talking points we'll be looking at on today's edition. Stay with us. There's nobody to put on the All right, welcome back from the break. You're still watching The Desk, and we're looking at issues. First on our desk is the call by the federal government through the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, for the International Criminal Court to halt the investigation of the ICC as regards the Nigerian military being accused of war crimes and also rape and other crimes against the terrorists and civilians in the country. All right, Abidoye, thank you for joining us. We just want to get your take as regards the call by the federal government through the Attorney General of the Federation for the International Criminal Court to halt the investigation of the Nigerian military, which started since 2010 and has come to an end with the Nigerian military being indicted for different war crimes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. What's the question? I didn't get the question. You said.
We've got the Nigerian government through the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice in the person of Lateef Fagbemi, who's calling on the International Criminal Court to halt the investigation of the Nigerian military, which has lasted 14 years, saying that it's demoralizing the servicemen. But the Nigerian military has been accused of rape, war crimes against civilians and terrorists. And this investigation, which started 18th of November in 2010, was concluded in 2020 when the former ICC prosecutor Fatua Bensouda indicted members of the Nigerian security forces of murder, rape, and torture and cruel treatment, and also enforced disappearance. For you, do you think the call by the federal government would suggest to say they are trying to defend the military or hide something?
Well, thank you so much. One thing we have to realize that with much respect and regard to ICC as constituted by the international community, but the fact still remains that Nigeria is an independent country with our own clearly defined templates, processes and procedures of court-martialing and trying such soldiers that were found wanting, either for one thing or the other, that is unethically, carried out. You will equally agree with me that without prejudice, why the ICC now were trying some of these soldiers that they have video clips, what have you, evidences against, are they in the same way trying some of these insurgents, and then the militants, in the Boko Haram, group, ISWAP, and the rest, so many other things are done that has caused Nigerians so many, in numbers now that we don't even have the actual statistics of our soldiers, either that died directly or by through landmine or whatever processes and so many other things. We have several numbers of our soldiers that have been killed as a result of this avoidable, insurgency and then militancy, so to say. It is an unusual war. It's not a conventional war. And so much has gone into that. We have lost so much. And as we speak right now, along that Chad Basin belt, along Maiduguri, Yobe, all those axes and Zamfara, we're still having a lot of issues around that. So if the matter has been handled since 2010 to 2020 and all that, and we are in 2024, I think this position of the federal government is clear that rather than pushing it further, the ICC should respect the sovereignty of Nigeria as a country. They should respect the procedure and the capacity and the competence, ethically speaking and professionally speaking, of the armed forces of Nigeria to bring such erring soldiers to book. So it should be respected. I am fully in support of that because it is an irony. And that was it just about 2 days ago, I was watching a comprehensive detail of a documentary on Al Jazeera of similar thing, I think in Kenya, that a man was being tried and was jailed, several years or whatever, and also so many other things. But unfortunately, there is a man that probably when you look at his, where he was born, how he was born, and how he grew up in such an environment, and what have you, and so many other things and all that. So the point I'm making in essence is, our system, so far so good without prejudice, have their own way of, dealing and ensure justice, equity, and fair play for such erring soldiers that, were found wanting in the call to duty. So I believe that the position of the Attorney General on behalf of federal government, for me, is absolutely in order. And that should be respected by us.
I just want to remind you that Nigeria wasn't forced to be a signatory under the Rome Statute, which makes it obligatory for the Nigerian authorities to respect and adhere to the findings of the ICC and the recommendations of the ICC. If that's the case, because Nigeria is under that Rome Statute, which Nigeria signed under, don't you think it's imperative that the recommendations of the ICC should be carried out to the latter, rather than try to dance around the verdict of the ICC when you signed and agreed with the Rome Statute?
Well, without prejudice, I don't have access to the charter of the document of ICC
Nigeria signed up to it. Nigeria is a signatory to the ICC.
I know. But what I'm saying in essence is the laws are made for man, not for law.
To the end. Why should we follow the ICC when it suits us? Then when we are found guilty, we now remember we're a sovereign state. Is that not dubious?
As far as I'm concerned, you have asked a question. As far as I'm concerned, the laws are made for man. I want to believe that the personality and the person of the Attorney General is learned enough, is knowledgeable enough to now be exploring maybe the possibility that aspect must be enshrined. A nation can make a plea, they can appeal on behalf of their citizens, as far as that is concerned. And I think that is what the Attorney General is trying to explore now. If there are no provision for that in the ICC Act or article or whatever, the Attorney General will not veer to begin to, speak in that context right now. That's precisely what I'm saying. If those opportunities, if those options are not there, he will not dare, go near there. So that I believe that can be considered, particularly when it is not only civilians now. It has to do with the military men who, by structure, they have their own way of dealing. Whether they are, whatever is the quantum and the degree of the sins or criminality or crime that they committed, the system has a way of dealing with such. We have seen cases like that in this country, that the military decisively, give out judgment. They have their own way of setting up the military, tribunal that will try them, investigate, and they'll be allowed to have lawyer and have access to, the lawyer to defend them and all that. So I believe that as a sovereign nation, that should be respected if the Attorney General is making that plea on behalf of our soldiers. Because when you look at the quantum of the losses that this country has recorded among our soldiers in their numbers as a result of this unconventional war I mean, looking at it from that angle, it's not just a one-sided thing. So we should not just be looking at it. Our soldier didn't just go out, without anything, without, the incursion of, the Boko Haram and the rest to defend, the territorial integrity of Nigeria. They didn't just go out to other country to begin to molest, to begin to abuse or whatever. I'm not defending them absolutely. What I'm saying in essence is looking at the position and the context of the Attorney General, in this regard. The ICC too should respect, and they should believe that justice will be done. All they need to do is to make sure ensure that justice are done and these erring soldiers are punished, the way it should be in the military circle.
All right,
that's my position.
I'm in the live studio with Engineer David Akpogode. Engineer Akpogode, let's look at the next talking point, which has to do with President Bola Tinubu, approving military personnel, their salaries. Are you happy with the fact that the president is approving the increase of salary of military personnel, especially when we know that in the past we hear where they said allowances and some monies were paid to Nigerian Army officers, but the money doesn't necessarily get down to those in the lower cadre. Are you convinced this is a right move by Mr. President?
Is it credible? Because when you look into the military sector, you will see that the junior officers are suffering. So what President did right now to increase their salary is credible, is a good thing. And it will take a long way with them, because someone that is fighting for the country, fighting for a particular cause, has given his life. I think it's only the military that gives their life to the country. Such people are supposed to be taken care of. But when you see our junior military personnel that even go for the front war of the country, that you see them suffering, you see their family, they don't even have, some of them don't have houses, they don't have anything, their allowance, the senior officers will be cutting their allowance, you see them on checking point, even begging, which military doesn't beg, military personnel doesn't beg, but when you see them on checking point, they will be begging, Oga, can you give us something? They will not force you, but they will beg you. Why? Because the salary is too small. You can't take care of their family. You can't take care of even only their needs. You can't even take care of their needs. So if the president gives something for them, added to their salary, is a good one. We must appreciate the president, Mr. Ahmed Bola Tinubu. He has done a great thing, because for many years now, the soldiers have been like that, the military has been like that, the navies have been like that. No obstacle, nothing, no training self. Even some of them will tell you that since they gave them that appointment, they haven't gone for any training.
Very sad commentary there. All right, Abidoye, I'd like you to weigh into this recent talking point that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved a salary increment for members of the Nigerian Armed Forces. Bello Matawalle, the Minister of State for Defense, disclosed this on Friday. For you, how does this translate into better welfare for the Nigerian Armed Forces, especially with the increase in fuel prices and other increments in electricity?
Well, thank you so much. Is a part of the ongoing review of a reward system compensation packages for Nigerian workers and employees in various key sectors of our national life. You will recall that before now, the minimum wage is in the realm of about 40,000. This administration has done, a review with a minimum payment of about 70,000. Down the line now, other states, are taking a cue from that. Some are paying 75, some are paying 73, some are paying 85, and some are paying 80. And so you will equally recall that in recent time too, the salaries of and reward packages of the judiciary, workers, those in the bar, the bench, were reviewed upwardly as well, in line with the prevailing economic circumstances. For me, for the soldiers, it cannot be overemphasized, because when you look at the quantum of the risks being taken, particularly those who are the war fronts, no amount of money, whether in billions of dollars, can be compared to a single life of our soldier that has been lost on daily basis. None can be compared to somebody who was standing for the safety and the security of Nigerian territorial integrity, who probably was shot or was has his leg amputated as a sort of landmine while defending, Nigeria and so many other things. So I believe that due process was followed in the armed forces. Adequate and required memo was presented, and then it was passed through, the proper process of the Federal Executive Council before the president was sent to that. So I believe that is absolutely not that. Particularly when you look at the prevailing, economic circumstances in Nigeria today, where the cost of living is very, very high, and this is global. It's not only in Nigeria. Saying the right, the truth.
All right.
What you used to buy for $3 in US yesterday or last year is about $8-9 today. So it's a global thing. It is the effect of the COVID-19 that the world, is here to recover from him. So for me, I salute that step from the presidency to review, the salaries and allowances due to our armed forces men and women across the country.
But the issue of making sure that these monies get down to the lower cadre without restrictions, how key is that?
No. This is salary and allowances. It definitely, because once it's approved, based on this, rank and file, based on the status and all that. So it's not something that will go through any one big orga. This one is different from maybe allowances for special duty that will have to go through the hand of maybe generals or brigadier general or maybe officer commanding or whatever. This is quite different. This goes straight now because everybody know where he belongs in terms of categorization, in terms of rank, in terms of the status within the system, and that will have been graded using the Salary and Wages Commission. Must have graduated that now, and then so all they need to do through their paymaster system or whatever, or the finance department of the armed forces in each of whether the Air Force, the Navy, or the Army, all they need to do is to just effect that. And to effect that now, my question now is, was there a provision for that now? If it's to take effect in the Nigerian 2024 what do you call it, budget? Otherwise, it has to be projected for in the ongoing 2025 budget. So for me, I don't have any problem. I think this to be encouraged. We should salute this development for our armed forces across.
All right, let's move on to the next talking point on our desk. Quite controversial. It has to do with the Afe Babalola's issue, where the activist Deji Adeyanju on Friday said the Nigerian police must stop acting as errand boys to influential people and politicians in the country. Adeyanju made the call when faulting the senior advocate of Nigeria, Afe Babalola, for arresting a human rights lawyer, Dele Farotimi, for alleged defamation. Addressing journalists in Abuja, Adeyanju berated Babalola for using the police to harass a fellow lawyer. He said Babalola should have resorted to civil remedies against Farotimi rather than using the police and courts to harass him. According to Adeyanju, Dele Farotimi, a lawyer and an advocate, was arrested in his office in Lagos. Let's first of all, let's just look at the fact that we're talking about two lawyers here. We're talking about Afe Babalola, who's a university, someone who is renowned across the globe for his steadfastness, his uprightness, and all that within the legal framework. Do you think he went overboard by harassing and sending the Nigerian police force to, arrest this a fellow legal, And do you think the Nigerian police was also playing to the gallery?
In Nigeria, there is something some of us call big fish. The big fish in Nigeria, they are too powerful. Once they are bigger than you, they use every authority to oppress you. That is what is happening here today to Dele. That Afe Babalola is a big fish. He's a lawyer, he's a judge, he has everything.
But shouldn't he know better that that's not the way to go?
Yeah, that is what we Nigerians we don't know. Like what happened the other day about the House of Rep member and
the Uber driver.
Uber driver. Can't you see? It's the same thing happening everywhere. Where you look around our territory, you will see all these things playing around. You see somebody that will just, you didn't even do anything, he wants to mess you up, to show others that he's a big pawn, he's a big fish. He has the money, he has the connection, he has the government connection, but it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. We should look at the future. What are we telling the upcoming, the little ones, the youth and the rest? So is it money? Money is everything, connection is everything. We don't have integrity again. We don't have any lifeline of doing things. So that is just the problem.
Do you agree with Adeyanju that the police is acting like errand boys?
Very well. I agree with him because sometimes the police, they don't think before doing their things. They don't think before they will move. It doesn't work. Why can't you investigate this thing before you went to arrest people? Why can't you ask questions that what is happening? Because a big man has come, maybe he gave you money or he promised you to give you promotion in the office, that he will call one of his person to give you promotion, you start acting, which is not right.
All right, a very sad comment here. The global president of Rebuild Nigeria 360, how can we rebuild Nigeria with such things playing out? And for someone like Afe Babalola, who we much respect, are you shocked with this action? Abidoye, are you there? Right, Abidoye, we hope he will be rejoining us. Let's get his take on that. Okay, Abidoye, I just wanted to get your take as regards what's playing out between Afe Babalola and Faru Timi. Do you think Adeyanju is right when he says the Nigerian police force are acting like errand boys? And do you think Babalola disappointed people with his action as a big fish, like they put it in the legal field?
Personally, without prejudice, and I want to speak objectively and constructively in line with my principle. Even in heaven, there is hierarchy. That's 1. 2, in the law profession, there is hierarchy. That's 2. 3, in the Yoruba parlance, we have culture. There are ethics. There are belief systems that probably move away or deviate from his core culture is derailing. And so I respect the person and the personality of Faru Timi. I listen to him a number of times. I watch his video, I watch his interview on television and all that. There's no gainsaying, no fact that he's an intelligent person. He's well-read. He has the power of communication and then oratory, captivation and all that. But as a matter of fact, many a times when I listen to him, his own style of delivery, for somebody of his personality, whether you're a human rights lawyer, does not make you above the law. It does not personify you, or empower you to communicate publicly, particularly when you lose this dignity, decency, and decorum. More often than not, is the way he captures and the way he speaks to authority, to personality, somehow using gutter languages and so many other things. I disagree with him totally on that, because it's often said that in public communication, you can achieve the nicest thing, but in the nicest way. In public communication, you can tell somebody to go to hell, and you succeed powerfully with maybe honey, using tact, diplomacy, and wisdom, and the person is looking for the road. So more often than not, the way he uses languages, for me, require, a lot of finesse. It's not the best. So it's somebody that, I gauge him and I watch him, as intelligent as he is. His style of delivery, I don't like it personally. As a Yoruba man talking like a Yoruba man now, this is just the truth. So the issue between him and Afe Babalola, as far as that is concerned, it was a fallout or spiral effect of the book he authored. where he was alleged to make some defamatory statement against Afe Babalola. And I want to believe that he should have his part right, because he knows the quantum. I'm not a lawyer. He knows the weight of defamation. And for somebody like Afe Babalola, for you to allege such, and then I was told that he was summoned or was invited by the police. No matter who you are, nobody is above the law. As a lawyer of that magnitude, if the police ask him to, appear, you go there as a lawyer. Even if they say, okay, come and make statement, whatever, at the end of the day, the worst that could happen is that they cannot detain you more than 24, 48 hours in line with the law before you are charged to court. But when you are invited, by the police, and you choose not to turn up, you get what I'm saying? You have violated the law. So he who must come to equity, according to them now, the lawyers, must come with clean hand. So for refusing to turn up when there's an allegation, because there's a petition against him on the basis of that, defamatory document that they have against the person and the personality, Afe Babalola deserves the right to go to police and because he can't just go to court directly. It has to be, the matter has to be reported to the police. The police will have to invite him. They will ask him to make, statement to that effect. And then on the premise of that, he will now be charged to court. But for refusing to appear, then you are telling them that you are above the law, and nobody is above the law. He could be arrested. And so if he's arrested, then let the due process take its course. You see, but one thing I have found out in Nigeria is that more often than not, particularly in recent time, something that does not concern so many other people, you see sentiments, you see prejudice. And that's why the issue of even fighting corruption many a time. If it's an announcer man stay money, when it is being fought by AFCC or ICPC, the Obama, you will see that the Yoruba people say, oh, because it's our own, that's why they are harassing him. So we must, if we want this country to move forward, we must remove sentiment, we must remove prejudice, we must remove emotion and be objective, and let us, have the interest of the country at heart over and above any sectional or, personal, prejudice or bias of any kind of also someone. So for me, there's so much noise around it as far as I'm concerned. So let the law. He's been arrested, and I know that the police will take, due cognizance of what they're supposed to do without, throwing, caution overboard and so many other things. So let it follow that due process without people making.
All right.
So many people are being arrested, individuals are being arrested. So what's the big deal about it?
All right, I want to stay with you. One of the questions asked is, why was he taken from Lagos to Ekiti State rather than try him or go through the process in Lagos, where he allegedly committed the infraction? Doesn't that smack of abuse of power? I think that's one question I will probably throw to you. What do you think he was taken from Lagos to Ekiti, where Afe Babalola is, rather than try him in Lagos?
Yeah, he spoke well, but the issue is that why would he be taken from Lagos to Ekiti, if not forcefully? Because he made the statement in Lagos. Not in Ekiti. So why would he be taken to Ekiti? It's injustice. If the statement was made in Lagos, why not judge him in Lagos? Bundling him to Ekiti it's like oppression. That is why people are complaining. That is oppression.
All right, we'll leave it at that, and let's move on to Time Not Our Friend. So we'll quickly run into other talking points. We've got a lot on the tax bill, but there's one big talking point of national interest to us as recent as the Okwama killings, which has been going on. We did get some breaking news today, and it has to do with the fact that one of the community leaders that has been in detention with the military allegedly died, and the big question is, why did that happen? Was he killed, or what was the state of health of that particular person? That's the very disturbing talking point we would like to look. Let's look at that issue of the Okwama killings, where one of the leaders who have been in detention with the military, this morning the news broke that he has died. What do you think is the implication of that?
Well, I made mention of what soldier has done to this country, severely to many communities, like in the Niger Delta,
Odi and
Odi. It happens in Benue.
Zakibiam.
Yeah. And didn't worry, it happens. It happens in, what is it called? Iri. Soldiers will just come, maybe a little issue that police can settle. Maybe arrest one or two persons, sit in a round table, discuss about it, and they forget about it. But because of their interests.
There's a military interest now.
Yes. There is something, you know, Topolo said it the other day, that the people that are oil bunkers, they are military people. Everywhere was just clamoring that soldiers were, military people were saying that Topolo should come out and point at those people. How would he point at those people? Someone might be in Abuja here and send somebody, is it not command they listen to? That you do this for us. And they are here sitting down in Abuja. And things are destroying. Our people cannot drink good water. They doesn't have good road. They doesn't have good facilities. They doesn't have good hospitals. Nothing. And they are still oppressed. So what happened in Okwama is not a new thing. It has been happening since. It's just that it's not coming up like this. This one happened suddenly that everybody, the Glo had it. There are so many cases. If you go to this SARS office or military detention, you will see most of our people there just lock up because they don't have the voice to cry out. Nobody is crying for them. So many young people like this are dying every day.
So what do you think this is going to, with the death of this man now, how do you think this is going to affect the whole issue? We're talking about Pa James Ogoroko. How do you think this, do you think, some have said he probably knows too much, and what do you think this is going to...
Exactly. If you say he knows too much, it's people, anybody that said this man knows too much, they are right. Because they may silence this man so that everything will go into the drain. He might be sick, die natural. But why keeping him?
If he was sick?
If he was sick. Why not take him to the hospital to treat him? If he was sick, why not telling his people that this man is sick? What do we do? Now he's dead. Who will now believe? Who are we going to believe that this is what happened? Nobody, because no evidence. Okay, what really happened to that community? What makes this action took place? To date, there's nothing has come up. Our governor went there.
Sheriff Oborowori.
Yes, went there. He didn't say anything. He didn't even speak about it. He just went and looked and came back. And this place is your people. They are Urobo's people. So what is happening? Till now, we don't even know what is happening. The governor could not say anything. Nobody came from that place to say this is what happened.
But so,
is this matter a peaceful matter? Is it a matter for the police or the soldiers? Nobody could explain. But today, soldiers lost their life, which we feel pity for them because they are the protection of this country. We condemn the act, but now this man is dead and everybody in that community is disastered.
All right, very sad commentary, but that's how much time is going to allow us to take on today's edition of the program, The Desk. I want to say a big thank you to the Rebuild Nigeria 360 Global President, in the person of Model Abidoye, who joined us via Zoom to give us his take as regards the various talking points, and my guest who joined me in the live studios. He's not that person, but engineer David Akpo Gode. He's making his debut on the desk. Thank you very much for joining me on the program. All right, that's how we call it a wrap on today's edition, the weekend edition, yes, because it's Friday and we're heading into the weekend. And that's how much we are going to be unveiling today. Next week, definitely, we'll be coming with other big, interesting talking points for which will help us look at things from a deeper and clearer perspective. My name is Anthony Momodu saying thank you for being part of The Desk.